Hey everyone, Tutu back with another Spyral gameplay video. This time I'm playing the Control variant again, as you can see because of cards like Raigeki and Maxx, good going second cards. This time I'm against an Eldlich deck, though it's not a standard pure trap stun Eldlich deck. It's an Eldlich deck that supports a Charmer engine with the fairy tales and such. That's actually more common in TCG and OCG, Eldlich as a controlling support engine, kind of like how Sky Strikers are a spell-based support engine. This is a trap-based control engine. And the thing that I really love about Spyral is that people don't really know about them too much is it has a great Eldlich matchup. Cards like Last Resort on a Sleeper, Forbidden Droplets letting you resolve your Super Agents and Quick Fixes through skill drains, makes it actually pretty robust against the Eldlich decks. You can still lose to them going first, flipping IO, flipping a skill drain, and then having like a conk, and you can't force through that. That can happen to anyone, but in general, Spyral has a really strong matchup against one of the top meta threats. This hand is actually not the best against Eldlich, right? Maxx is usually good for an upstart goblin, maybe a second draw if you can like bait out Conk plus Sanguine on the same turn. Raigeki, it'll kill their big golden boy sometimes, and maybe whatever their dumb trap monsters they have. Roto's great here. It's basically going to get me tough, and the reason I chose this video as a topic is I get to demonstrate two things. One, how good Tough is at breaking control boards going second, and two, the Codebreaker engine, which I think is pretty good to run in budget-centric and going second versions of Spyral, because it's a really powerful link-up tool. And I'll demonstrate in a bit. First, we're going to get to the game. But it's going to play Cursed Eldland, go get the Golden Boy, and we're going to drop a Fairy Tale Luna, which is cool. Goes and gets this Charmer card. This Charmer card doesn't actually come up, and I'm not too familiar with Charmers, though I know like they're like a decent like spellcaster-based engine that like has like cool spells and stuff. It's not going to play too big of a role here. Spyral games don't usually go past more than a couple turns regardless, so like it's not going to matter too much, but, you know, I thought it was neat to see Eldlich being played more like it is in TCG and OCG as a support engine to another archetype that likes to control the field, like Fairy Tales, right? Fairy Tales are notorious for being infinitely recursive and controlling the board. But it's going to set to, if they're an Eldlich deck, you're always going to assume this is some combination of, like, I'm not going to assume Skill Drain, because if they're playing Fairy Tales, they might not be on the Skill Drain version of the deck, though Spyral is usually okay against Skill Drain by itself. And same thing with Imperial Order. Charmers, I think, is a spell-based deck, aside from the spellcasters. So, you know, I wouldn't expect an Imperial Order to be flipped here. So it's probably cards like Conquistador, like Hakero, like Sanguine. So, like, you're going to expect those cards to happen. So, it's going to be my turn. I'm going to draw into a completely useless card in this situation. I mean, it's not completely useless. Infinite Impermanence can be, like, if I was going to pass the turn, can be used to stop a Fairy Tale Luna effect, which isn't terrible. But for breaking a board, it's going to do absolutely nothing here, right? Luna's not going to do anything here. When they bring out the Golden Boy, it's not going to do anything here. We use Roto to go get Tough. They're going to chain Elixir Scarlet Sanguine, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my Upstart Goblet off Maxx. Everyone's favorite format-defining hand trap. Not mine, actually. I wish it was banned. It's going to bring in the Eldlich. I get my draw, and I draw Nibiru, another useless card. You know, the funny thing about control decks like Spyral, when you do the control variants, you have cards like Nibiru, which are just dead in some matches, but you need it for other matchups. And I'm going to go get my Tough. And I'm going to drop Raigeki, might as well now. I'm probably not going to get a better Raigeki than this. And I get to drop Tough, targeting their back row. And Tough is really, really good going second. I've demonstrated the Spyral Drone plus Super Agent combo tutorial before in my previous videos. But Tough, if you're going second and your opponent has any board presence, does the same thing, right? You play it, you target a card to be destroyed, and you get to reveal the top card. If you guess it right, you get the destruction effect. If you don't, nothing happens. But that's fine. Even if you miss on a Tough, it still works just like Drone. You know the top card of their deck. You enable your cards like Super Agent, like Double Helix, and he's a Super Agent name for Quik Fix later on if that comes up. The other cool thing about Tough is he is not a hard once per turn, and I'll show that in a second. So they chain Conk because they don't want to get destroyed. But it doesn't matter, I called it wrong. Obviously, against the Eldlich deck, I call Trap. It's a spell on top, so I just go ahead and drop my Super Agent, hit their Eldland. Now, it might have been a mistake to hit Cursed Eldland because it's going to kind of rob me of one material later, but not really. This card, obviously, when it gets destroyed, gets to search a Eldlich Golden Land spell trap from the deck, and that's going to shuffle the deck, turning off my Helix, which I can go into right now. I knew that, but I had a Spyral Gear Big Red in hand, so I wasn't worried. My opponent isn't probably going to be able to, like, unless they have a DD Crow, in which case then maybe I'm SOL and have to pass, but it's not a big deal. So they shuffle their deck, and I'm going to go to Helix. And then I'm going to drop good old Big Red. And I wouldn't expect an Eldlich deck to run DD Crow because they usually have a Karo for that and Called By. So bring back Tough, activate Tough again, not hard once per turn, and it's a spell. This is the funny thing. This is the exact same card it was before, right? If you go up here, and like the previous reel was Spirit Charmers, the quick play spell trap for, I don't know. Something's wrong with the shuffler. Maybe they run 3 of their deck and it's just happenstance that it happened. It was funny. But that turns on my Helix. Helix can go get Master Plan. Master Plan can go get Assault. I've already killed my normal summon, and if you've seen the Drain plus Agent combo, you get Assault first regardless. I'm going to go ahead and, instead of going to Barricade Board Blocker or anything, I'm just going to just go straight into Selene, because I'm going to demonstrate the Codebreaker engine, and Selene is crucial to that. The reason Codebreaker is pretty good in Spyral is because you run a card like Selene or Appaloosa, who have these 3 down-pointing arrows. So Master Plan searches up Quik Fix and Resort for going to the graveyard. Selene gets her counters. Drop my Resort just for, you know, playing tightly. Go ahead and get your Sleeper because you don't want to forget it. Get your Resort on the field for protection. Summon your Master Plan with Selene, and then go get another mission. These cards are actually ancillary because I've already kind of figured I'm going to kill my opponent with just these cards on the board and a Quik Fix. So we'll get there, but I'm going to go ahead and go into Cerberus to get a discard on my Assault so I can go get Quik Fix. This is all for precaution because I can OTK my opponent just from here. But this lets me go get Last Resort with Quik Fix because I've already used Big Red. And this is insurance. Sleeper plus Last Resort. These are part of the reason why Spyral has such a great matchup against Eldlich. Let's assume I couldn't OTK my opponent here because they had a Nibiru or something, right? I would still have Sleeper and Last Resort in my hand. And what's a trap-based deck going to do against a Sleeper who can't be targeted because of Last Resort, and he can't be targeted, and a Last Resort who can't be targeted because of Spyral Resort? It's really hard for cards like Luna to bust that kind of board. They would need like a Harpy's Feather Duster and a Lightning Storm, and then a Destruction Effect, and then I would still get a Super Agent on the field. It's really hard. Now, I'm going to use those my Quik Fix and my Cerberus to go into Codebreaker Virus Swordsman. So the way Virus Swordsman work is, if he is code linked when he comes to the field, usually you need a card that's facing down with an arrow to trigger because he has an up-facing arrow. You get a special summon, a 0-day from your deck or graveyard or hand, anywhere really, to any spot that a link arrow is pointing to. And that's why Selene in this deck facilitates this so well, right? You have a diagonal arrows and an up and down facing arrow. This facilitates Codebreaker. Then you're going to link these two off and go into a Berserker. Come on. And Berserker gets you back both of your Codebreakers. So we turned that 2 monsters with the material into 3 monsters, but 6 total link material. And even though Cerberus was technically -1 link material to go into Virus Swordsman, even if you count that, that's 3 link material to get 6 link material. That's incredible. It enables you to go into all sorts of other link plays, you know, like Access Code Talker and Appaloosa at the same time, right? Because you have so much material. It's not going to matter here. I'm just going to go straight into an Access Code Talker. And the only thing my opponent could really do at this point to stop me is Nibiru. But that's why I searched up Sleeper with Quik Fix. That was kind of an ancillary. I actually had Lethal with Selene plus 0-day plus the other Swordsman, the Codebreakers. That was more than 8,000 damage, but I just wanted to go into Access Code because why not? You know, big Access Code's fun. And I have this great follow-up. And my opponent's going to go ahead and concede. You know, as soon as they see the 1,500 attack Behemoth, they know it's game. That's all. That's the control list with the Codebreaker engine. I thought it was pretty interesting to show because it demonstrates like how Selene allows you to get the full Codebreaker value. You can technically still do the Codebreaker lines without the diagonal facing arrows. You just lose 0-day. You can still like use any other creature plus Codebreaker virus to go into Berserker, and Berserker can still get your Virus Swordsman from the graveyard. So you can still link up a little bit. So it's not dead if you don't have Selene, but it's pretty good when you do. And that's why some versions of Spyral run it. It's also very budget-minded, right? None of these cards are ultras, so that's like 2 link spam cards that you can play in the deck that don't cost you ultra dust. That's why a lot of people like it too. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm going to put the list that I played in this particular game in the description. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them in the comments. Thanks. Bye.